Welcome to the aut2listen podcast, the official podcast of Autism South Africa. In this podcast, we are talking to people who are involved in autism in South Africa with the purpose of creating awareness, acceptance, and support. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the aut2listen podcast. Today, I'm talking to Claudia Ceresa. Claudia is the resource developer and finance manager for Autism South Africa.
Thank you, Will. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so glad you took the time to come and speak to us. I hear you guys are all still working from home. Is this true?
Mostly, yes. Some of our staff, obviously the counselors who need to do one-on-one counseling, are going into the office 2 days a week. So some of the staff are going into the office, but those of us who can work from home are still working from home.
Okay, that's interesting. Claudia, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and yeah, you became involved with Autism South Africa?
Um, I'm a hotelier by trade, so after 30 years in the hospitality industry, I decided I wanted a change. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I met the then director, Jill Stacey, through a friend of a friend. And with my financial background, that is what Autism South Africa needed at that point, and I was hired.
That's amazing. How long ago was this?
12 years ago.
12 years ago. And before that, you were in the hotel industry.
Yes, hotel and restaurants.
Oh, that's amazing. Did you work for other people or did you have your own businesses? How did that work?
Yes, a bit of both. My husband was also a hotelier by profession, so he had a few smaller hotels. We had a number of restaurants over the years. Our very first restaurant was in Sandton City in 1977. Oh, did I just say that? That's rather dating me a bit, huh?
No, no, you're still a youngster. I can hear that in your voice. Don't worry about that. What? So your business career has given you the background or the must have helped you a lot in, you know, to actually walk the road, the difficult road of managing an NPO and the finances of an NPO, I presume.
Yes. I think financial management, it doesn't matter whether you're running a spaza shop or a large corporate. I think the fundamentals are basically the same. And Autism South Africa has been through some very, very lean times where we've had to curtail our projects. In 2008, even staff took salary cuts, working less hours because we weren't financially sustainable. But fortunately, that has all changed now. And since then, we have been financially secure. But with COVID now, nobody can foretell the future because the economy is in dire straits. And even our very loyal corporate funders say they really cannot predict what's going to happen next year. So we are certainly living in very uncertain times.
Yeah, that is true. Could you, I mean, you touched on a little bit on some of the difficult times, but I think it would be interesting for our listeners to hear a bit of the history of Autism SA.
Autism South Africa was established in 1989 um, by a group of parents and professionals. At that time, there was very little known about autism, and there were practically no services available in this country. Um, The founder, Jill Stacey, had a child with autism and it struggled even to get a diagnosis. And once she got a diagnosis, that's when she set out to see how she can help her son and other children in the same situation.
Wow, it's amazing how many great causes were started by a passionate parent. Just so, what does Autism South Africa actually do?
We have many functions and we run many projects, but our main aim is advocacy, lobbying, and partnering with state, civil society, academic, and other sectors in the form of research. Um, yes, so we focus very much on health, social development, and education.
Okay, so practically, Claudia, if I had an autistic child and I came to Autism South Africa, how could Autism South Africa help me?
Well, the very first thing we do would be to counsel the parents. It's very traumatic for a family to get a diagnosis of autism because um, the average person wouldn't necessarily understand what the repercussions will be. So it's very important to counsel the parents um, to support them. Obviously, they would then be guided to the best approach for their child regarding therapy and early intervention. The third step would be to guide them in the right direction of finding a suitable school for their particular child. Unfortunately, that is a very big problem in this country. There are, I think there are only 10 government schools in the whole of South Africa, autism specific. A lot of the other schools have an autism unit, but it's very difficult to place a child with autism. And
Can be.
obviously, you know, we can't do that. They would have to go through the Department of Education, but we can guide them in those steps.
So, is autism usually picked up at when a child goes to school, or does it happen before that?
No, it's normally picked up anywhere between 18 months and 3 years. Parents notice that there is something different about their child.
Okay, that's interesting. So, as part of your lobbying, do you actually try to get government to build more schools? Is this something that you are actively lobbying for?
Yes, but I mean, as you can imagine, that's a very difficult process and very long-winded. We are busy with a class action lawsuit against the Department of Education for not every child has the right to education, and many of our autistic children just aren't having access to any schools. So we are in we have a case, an ongoing case for the Department of Education to make provision for our learners with autism.
So that's interesting. The private sector, what about uh, uh, this South Africa? All of a sudden, I noticed there's all these private schools that are going up like mushrooms. Do they provide any of these services, and are they obliged to?
Again, well, that's a tricky one. There are some autism specific schools who work on some really expensive models. So we there are some schools that we wouldn't recommend to parents. because we just find that they are unreasonably priced. Um, Private schools would also specialize. They would have an autism section, but it's again very few and very expensive. Most parents can't afford to pay those prices. The community that we work in is mostly really disadvantaged with a lot of parents being unemployed or being single parents with no one to look after their child. So it's a double-edged sword. They can't get a job because there's no one to look after their child.
Do you find that some of these parents might have the inclination to do homeschooling for their children, and are there resources available for them?
We, Autism South Africa, has put together something called an EduBox, which is a toolkit for parents who have no access to schools. In it is a number of activities, a number of toys, and a specific manual of how the parents can use these to teach their child. Obviously, this EduBox has a price attached to it, so we are always looking for funding to be able to put out more of these boxes to the community. And obviously, there are many rural areas in South Africa where there is absolutely no school for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. So we do try and reach out to those communities and to those parents.
I see you have a center at your building called Bright Kids. Is this at your building, or is this what is the Bright Kids initiative?
The Broad Kids is a early childhood development center. So that would be children from 18 months to 5 years.
And this happens at your premises, the center.
Yes, it is. It is connected. It is. They are opposite us in the building.
So this is only in Gauteng, or is this countrywide? Are there other centers like this throughout the country?
There are many other ECD centers, but not directly connected to Autism South Africa. They are independently run.
Understood. So Claudia, I mean, we talked a lot about children and so on, but what about um, uh, adults or even education for after school? What happens in that regard?
Yeah, I'm afraid there's a very big gap there, Will. Um, the schools will keep learners with autism until the age of 21, and then ideally they would go on to some sort of a vocational center. Autism South Africa has been lobbying for years to find learnerships, apprenticeships, for these youngsters, because most of them won't have a traditional matric.
Mhm.
And that is one of our biggest challenges. But I'm very happy to say that for the first time we had an intake. It was only six learners through the food and bev CETA, and these six youngsters did really well and have now completed their learnership. We're just waiting for the moderation and the finalizing of their portfolios, and then they will have a certificate to say that they are certified food and beverage handlers, which is incredibly exciting. And just watching these youngsters grow and blossom, their self-confidence, their attitude, they just became so outgoing, and it was just a wonderful thing to see these youngsters grow. It really has been a very fulfilling um, experiment, and hopefully we will continue into the future with similar programs.
Wow, that's fantastic. Claudia, you have an extensive resource base of information and a whole Autism South Africa library. What other resources? Can you tell us more about the library and the other resources that you have?
The library, do you mean the online library?
So the online library is all the
Yes,
booklets and everything. Yeah.
yes. Um, the main booklet has been translated into 7 of the 11 official languages. Um, the booklets are also available in a hard copy, and we find that especially helpful in the rural areas, where there still is very little access to the internet. So we do have I think it's a range of 22 booklets that are available. Obviously, we're always looking for a printer or a paper merchant or a funder who would like to put his name on these booklets. So if anybody's listening, it's a wonderful marketing opportunity for you. Um, the other resources, as I said, the EduBox, and I think our training. We have a pretty comprehensive um, a number of different training options available, from something very basic like the introduction to autism, it's sort of a broad stroke approach, which is something we would always start with in schools or ECD centers or any group of people wanting to know more about autism.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Claudia, I see you like a real. I mean, I can understand your job is to keep the wheels greased because you are the resource develop, development officer, as you call it, and the financial manager, which means the job is your main job is to make sure that you're not only that you're reporting correctly, but you're getting money in all the time. So, if people want to get involved with Autism SA and they want to help or they want to donate, what are the ways they can get involved?
There's a few options on our website, but as I said, we also run 15 programs. But I mean, they could always contact me if there is something particular, where their strategic focus lies, or if it's a personal family, if they want to do a gift box for Christmas, or if it's a corporate that wants to involve volunteers. I think the best thing to streamline something particularly for their needs, it would be best to contact me. But
Okay.
also there, as I said, there are all the options on Facebook and on our website. There are buttons to donate.
Okay, so people can, if they feel they want to donate to South Africa, they just go there and they could donate straight on your website with a click of
Yes,
a button.
yes,
Okay, I
yes.
think that, and I assume also that your funding. Do you get any government funding, or are you? Where does your funding come from?
Fortunately, we have a diverse income stream, which is very fortunate because when times are tough, one might fall away, but another one will stay loyal. We do indeed get government funding, but it's for a very specific project. Um, it's a research project, which is a collaboration between the World Health Organization, Autism Speaks in America, the University of Cape Town, and Autism South Africa. And that's a big project, and it's an ongoing project. It's a training project, but obviously it needs to be adapted to South African context. we are in the process of doing. Obviously with COVID, everything is sort of slowed down a bit, and the person in charge of the project has been very busy online, doing as much as she can online in the meantime, until we can go back to training families face to face.
Okay. So in terms of fundraising, do you have any events or activities planned in the near future or that's coming up?
We do. In the very near future, in fact, on the 12th of November, we have our annual golf day, which was postponed from July due to COVID. So that is happening at Parkview on the 12th of November. I still do have a few four balls available. The course is looking amazing, green and lush. Also, if anybody would like to sponsor a hole or any prizes, they will be. It will be a good marketing tool for them. They can put up their banners, and they will be mentioned in the flyer that every golfer gets. We already have over 90 corporate golfers who have signed up. So it will be a good day, and please, if you fancy a day out, there are still some four balls available.
Okay. And how else do you uh, raise funds from an event like this besides selling tickets?
What, the golf day?
Mm-hmm.
We also have an auction
Mm-hmm.
and a raffle. The raffle's very, very popular. But also at our golf day, every single player gets a prize. So that is quite a good incentive, even if you are not the best golfer.
So every golfer
Um,
gets a
and,
prize. I need to come to this golf day because that's the only way I would ever get a golfing prize.
yeah, so every golfer gets a prize. So everybody's going to feel great at the end of our golf day.
Any other events, Claudia?
Well, April next year is, we always celebrate the whole of April as a World Autism Awareness Month. World Autism Awareness Day is actually on the 2nd of April. And this year we have decided to invite autistic artists, poets, writers, to submit something for the art auction, and all the funds raised will go directly to the participants. So it will go back to the artist. Autism South Africa won't keep any of the money. So we're hoping to create awareness and acceptance through this.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Tell me, when can people start submitting?
They can already. They just need to go to our website or our Facebook page. It is live already, so they are able to do that.
And are you going to show people the artwork or the projects that's been submitted before the auction or before?
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Okay.
And we are going to ask the artists to put a reserve on their artwork if they so wish. Um, just to make sure that they are happy with what they get.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Any other fundraising activities you have or fundraising, any fundraising thing?
Well, we've got a beautiful, glossy, very elegant coffee table edition of a cookbook with some of South Africa's top chefs in it. And hopefully we soon they will be available online. So you'll just have to watch the space to see how we're going to do this.
That sounds like a perfect Christmas gift.
It does indeed. It's very beautiful, and the photography is magnificent.
Okay, that's amazing. So we'll definitely leave some links in the podcast here when when you have them available so people can go and see what this is all about. Claudia, you mentioned the coronavirus, and it's forced all of us to rethink our organization models. So, do you have any changes or new ideas in mind at Autism?
Well, a large percentage of our income is self-generated through training. And so we've obviously lost a lot of money over this period. But our educator, Vicky Lamb, Oetler, she put our 5-day training course. She worked very, very hard to put it online. So it is now available online. Obviously, it's a little different online as there's no practical interaction where there was in the face-to-face one. But she's done a marvelous job in getting it ready. And we've already had over, I don't want to lie, but I think 55 or 60 participants
Oh,
who
that
have
sounds
signed up for this course. So I think possibly people do have some time on their hands now, and you can do this course in your own time. You can do it in 5 days if you want to, or you can do it over a period of time. Your work is assessed. There are Zoom meetings, I think, every couple of weeks, where you can interact with Vicky, and yes, and there's homework to send in to be assessed. So it's been working incredibly well.
well,
So I think that was a very big step, and the fact that Vicky got it together so quickly is absolutely amazing.
oh, that's fantastic. So tell me, is this who would typically do this course, and is it certified or something?
Yes, it is accredited by the Health Professionals Council,
Hmm.
and we were SACE accredited, which is for educators. And they have given us an email saying, yes, we are accredited, but we've never actually received a document to the state. So yes, it is HPCSA and SACE accredited. So it would be for all the therapists and educators. And obviously, parents are very welcome to attend as well.
Okay, so if you have this certification, you can put yourself out there as an autism practitioner, really. Is that what it is about?
Um, yes, you would have yeah. It's not really a qualification. It's just a course.
Okay, so it's enhancement to somebody that might have another
Yes,
qualification.
yes. I
Okay,
mean, it is normally therapists and educators, and they need to keep up their CPD points in any case, and this would give them one more, better understanding, not only of autism, but a lot of other developmental delays and disorders.
okay. And any other new things that you are doing regarding the whole coronavirus thing?
Um, yes, we took our conference online this year, which was very successful because people from all corners of South Africa could attend. Yeah, it was a huge uh, technological learning curve,
Hmm.
but it ran very, very smoothly and was really well attended. So we will obviously go forward in that way in the future. There is something called a listening group, which is more for parents, and that is best to do face to face, and that is coming up, I think, on the weekend of the 6th and 7th.
Okay. So that's quite interesting that you did your conference online. I think a lot of businesses and organizations are finding that they can do that and would go forward in future, even if things go back to normal with a kind of hybrid model where they would they would have the normal conference, but would also allow people to participate remotely. Do you think that's something that will definitely happen with you guys as well?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's the way of the future, not just I think for everybody, not just for Autism South Africa.
Right. So, on a personal note, you've had firstly quite a it seems quite an interesting business career, and then your NPO journey at Autism South Africa. What is the most important thing that you've learned?
From a fundraising point of view, I'd just like to state that fundraising is like dieting. There's no shortcuts, there's no quick fix, there's no magic pill. It's just hard slog.
I have to
You
do a
just
push up
have,
every day.
yes, yes, just like that. And when you get to 3, you're doing really well.
So, so on that note, Claudia, if people want to contact you and or Autism South Africa, how did they get hold of you guys?
They can contact me directly on Claudia at Autism South Africa, written out in full.org. Our office number is 011 484 9909, and that number is obviously diverted to our receptionist, so there will always be somebody to answer that call.
That
I can also give you another email address, which is info@autismsouthafrica.org.
at your website.
Our website is www.aut, the number 2, no, KNOW.co.za.
Okay, that is fantastic. But Claudia, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I think people will find it interesting. And good luck with all the work you're doing. I'm sure we'll talk to you again in the future to get an update on how it's going with all your activities and your fundraising and everything else Autism South Africa is doing. But thank you so much for spending the time.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the aut2listen podcast. We appreciate your support and we ask that you help raise awareness for our cause by subscribing and also sharing this with your family and friends. To find out more about autism in South Africa or to make a donation, please visit the website at www.aut2know.co.za. Thank you again for your support.